All right. Welcome back to my interview, if you like, short discussion with a young professional, Sangu Delle. We're going to take a look at young entrepreneurs in Africa, But Sangu, welcome. You want to take a sip of your Lipton tea?
Absolutely.
Great. Lipton actually sets us on the journey of refreshment and vitality, and that's exactly what we're going to do this morning. Sangu, you are with the Forbes Africa 30 under 30. You tell me about this shortly, and also the chief executive for Golden Palm Investment. How old are you, Sangu?
27.
27, just 27.
Under 30, right?
Of course, you're under 30. That's right. So 30 under 30, great. Tell me about young entrepreneurs in Africa. Before then, who are you?
Okay,
briefly.
So briefly,
yeah.
I'm Sangu Delle, proud native of Ghana.
Why?
Grew up.
You don't look Ghanaian, actually. You don't look
really?
Ghanaian, yeah.
Oh no. Very much Ghanaian.
Okay. All right.
Went to school here at Isaac in then GIS. Got a scholarship to go to the US.
Okay.
Ended up at Harvard University.
Great.
Graduated in African Studies and Econ. And I do entrepreneur. You know, I focus on startups on the continent, and also have a non-profit here in Ghana called Clean Aqua, and we're bringing clean water and sanitation to communities in need.
Now, how do you see the youth, the young ones in Ghana? I want to talk about Africa. In Ghana, right? Do we have a future when it comes to entrepreneurship and all that?
So when we look at youth in Ghana, and you think about it even in the context of Africa,
that's right.
You have 1 billion people with the projected population demographics to hit 2 billion, over 2 billion in 2050. And majority of that is going to be young people.
Yeah.
And so this demographic dividend creates a huge boon to our economic growth going forward. But it's also a challenge.
Of course.
Because as you have a mass population of young people, you need jobs for those young people. And if you have an educated labor force, and you have opportunities for those young people, then it's a boon to the economy. If you don't have job opportunities for those young people, then you have a social crisis at hand. And so that's why we've been promoting entrepreneurship as a means of sustainable development on the continent, where young people can take ideas and they can translate it into real businesses and enterprises that will create jobs, that will support the local economy, and that will contribute to their own personal development and to the continent's development.
I let that be saying that's why you've been pushing for entrepreneurship in the youth and all that. How far have you gone? What have you achieved so far?
So what we've been able to do has been to tackle it in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
Okay. One has been through funding and mentoring startups, whether it's M Pharma, which is a young Ghanaian, Gregory Roxon, who is reimagining how we deliver, prescribe, and monitor drugs on the country and across the continent, because adverse drug reactions creates huge complications, health complications, resulting even in deaths in some cases.
That's right.
We don't have data on what happens with our drugs. We don't have effective means of combating drugs that are not authentic, and so we're creating a digital platform that enables us to authenticate, that enables us to monitor, that enables us to e-prescribe, and that enables us to control the entire ecosystem. And this is a young Ghanaian straight from college who started this, and we're backing him in that.
When did it get started?
This only a year old.
Okay.
This only a year old,
All
and
right.
this is in Ghana, and there are lots of stories of this. You have Eric Mutomi in Kenya as well, who grew up in Western Kenya and realized that the farmers in his village, when they produce bananas, they go rotten. And so he was frustrated about that and borrowed some money and started a factory to process it, to create gluten-free flour. And we are trying to bring him to do the same thing here in Ghana. So on one level, it's actually backing and funding and mentoring these startups. The second thing we're doing is promoting awareness of these successful entrepreneurs to create role models for the rest of young people. And so I'm actually working on a book, Seed and Growth, Africa's Youngest Entrepreneurs. I traveled to 17 countries on the continent to profile the stories of entrepreneurs who are making a difference, who are taking the circumstances which they've been dealt with and are transforming a new type of Africa. And these are people, Ghana's very own, Fred Digbe, Heal the World, and we know his story. We have AC.
I've spoken to him here before.
Yeah, we have AC Clearland, you know, Afro Chic. We have Kua bags, Ruby, you know, and across the continent, you have this remarkable story.
Good, we have these. What impact have they made on the lives of the youth? I mean, practically.
Yeah. So in a number of ways, I'll say one is employment opportunities.
They have?
Right? Because each of these businesses hire people.
Great.
And that's how you create a sustainable economy.
That's right.
It's the only way we are going to eliminate poverty is not to keep relying on handouts.
That's right.
It's when we create small businesses that hire our neighbors. That's the sustainable means of development.
That's right.
So that's one way. The second way is inspiration. I can't tell you how many young people I've spoken to I used to blog about the travels on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the different entrepreneurs I'm meeting. And a young person will send me a message and say, look, I've heard this story and I'm just inspired. And me too, I can do it. I want to start my own enterprise. And that once you create that ecosystem where young people feel empowered and feel that I too can do this. You know, I too can also start my Heal the World, or I can start my Afro Chic, or I can start my Stawi Foods. Then you suddenly create a ripple effect, right? And you see that in the US with your, you know, WhatsApp and your Mark Zuckerberg success stories. And young people get up and say, look, I'm also going to start a tech company. I'm also going to start this and that. And I think we need to have that same ripple ecosystem on the continent.
We need to have it. But Sangu, how do we, you know, create an interface between these success stories and graduates who come out of the universities and claim they don't have jobs to do? How do we marry them in?
And look, a lot of that has to do with reforming our educational system. We need to change our curriculum from one that's just focused on rote memorization to one that builds critical thinking skills.
Absolutely.
To one that empowers young people to say, let me not sit up and say I'm looking to government or I'm looking to whoever to create a job. If the jobs aren't there, let me think of what problems are in our society and how do I create solutions to solve those problems, and in the way create an enterprise out of that. And if you look around Ghana and the continent, the problems they are plagued.
That's right.
Right. And each problem, to me, instead of complaining about it, it's an opportunity to create a solution around it. And that's what most of the entrepreneurs I've seen in my travels, that's what they are doing. There's an amazing story of Samuel Mwangi. I met him in Nairobi. He dropped out of high school. He doesn't even have a high school diploma. And one day he had gotten, you know, he was so desperate because he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant, didn't have a job.
He will be indeed desperate.
Exactly. And as he was walking in the streets of Nairobi, he looked up and saw a neon sign. And it was the only neon sign in Nairobi.
Wow.
And he thought to himself, maybe I can make this.
That's right.
He went on the internet and Googled information about it, took an online course, a free course on the electronics, used his last savings to try stuff in his garage.
That's amazing.
Today, he is the largest neon sign manufacturer in East Africa. And he hasn't even finished high school, and he hadn't completed college. I'm telling you. And these are the stories we're seeing across the continent. And so, you know, the idea that young people cannot take charge of their destiny and transform their lives, I think, is not true. I think we need to put out these stories and inspire our young people to take the mantle up and come up with solutions to their problems. And we will create our own jobs through creating our own enterprises.
Great. I know the road has not been all that smooth. What have been some of the setbacks?
Oh, the setbacks there, they've been a lot.
Of course, I know there are a lot. I mean, probably the most notable ones.
Exactly.
That, you know.
So a number of them. One of it, actually, funny enough, is when you are, there's what I call the being young. You know, sometimes you're trying to create these enterprises, and you have an issue in Ghana and across the continent where people discriminate against you because of your age.
Of course.
And that needs to change because 70% of the continent is going to be young people. So we need to change that mentality and go from, you know, creating a society that simply says you need gray hair in order to be taken serious.
Come on again.
That's not sustainable. The second challenge, which you hear from young people across the board, is financing. Right?
Is it a challenge?
It is a challenge.
Okay.
It is a real challenge.
All right.
And to pretend it's not, it would be lying. When you have bank rates of...
most people I've spoken to tell me it's not a challenge. It's about identifying who you are and all that.
No. It is... I don't think it's the number one challenge. I think idea and human capital are bigger challenges.
Okay,
finding the right people to catalyze these ideas. But to pretend it's not a challenge is a lie.
All right.
If you have a great idea today and the bank is charging you 30%, 25%, You need a certain gap.
The space
To be able to start up your idea.
Right.
And you see, we don't have. I was just in Lagos yesterday speaking at the Angel Fair, and one of the things we realize is we don't have a robust angel ecosystem to support our startups. And so, if my business hasn't even taken off, and I have to start paying these high interest rates, how am I expected to succeed? At some point, it's me working for the bank, right? And so we need a robust ecosystem of angel funders and early stage funders that back.
But see, incidentally, we have an angel funding here and a venture capital trust fund here, and they're also doing their bit.
They are, but you need more than one player.
Okay.
You need a huge ecosystem. If you look at across the world, if you look at from the US, which obviously Silicon Valley is the leader.
That's right.
But forget about America; they're very advanced.
Of course.
Let's look across. Look at Chile.
Okay.
Chile, the president of Chile and the government of Chile decided to create a startup ecosystem in Chile, where they've created a robust ecosystem to fund and promote these startups. Where it's almost like an incubator system, where you come in with your idea.
That's right.
You don't just get funded, but you get support with office space, with mentorship,
Wonderful.
with ways in which you can be helped through creating your supply chain management, figuring out how to set up your books, your accounting, all these different things. And that's the type of robust ecosystem we need to put in place.
Can we have it in this country?
We can have it in this country.
Sure.
Absolutely. What we need is the will. We need the will and we need the support from all the different factors involved. We already have institutions like Ashesi, where Patrick has done a fantastic job because they are at the forefront of creating ethical leadership. And it's no surprise your Fred Digbe's came from Ashesi.
That's right.
And every time I go to Ashesi, I feel refreshed.
Great.
I feel refreshed. And in fact, when I have an internship program, and I have Harvard students working next to Ashesi students, and I'm telling you, there's no difference.
Good to hear this. Give your final words, Sangu, before we go.
My final words, I'll quote one of my favorite pieces from scripture. Timothy 1:4-12.
Are you religious?
Yes.
Great.
And it says, don't let them look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So my advice to all young people is, do not let anyone look down on you because you're young, but take your ideas, take the initiative, work hard, dream big, and believe in a better future.
Great.
And we will accomplish it.
For those watching at this point who want to get connected to you, how do they do it? Briefly. I believe young people would like to get connected to
Absolutely.
you for the sake of their lives in Ghana as a whole. Briefly.
They can go to my website, sdelle.com, sdelle.com. All my contact information is
Wonderful.
there. And I respond to every email from any young person.
From only the young person, not an old person.
No, before there.
All right, thank you very much, Sangu Delle of Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 and also Chief Executive of Golden Palm Investment. Thank you very much, Sangu, for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Great, I wish you all the best, right?
Yes.
All right, so this is a very inspiring thoughts this morning, which have been, exhibited this morning. Young and 27-year-old, don't get up yet, Sangu. I'm in control. 27-year-old guy doing marvelous, and I think that we need to support them wherever we are. Thanks very much, my brother. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You don't want to sip again?
One more. Thank you, Lipton.
Okay. Great.
Make you know they fear nobody. Make you know they mind your post watching. Live your life, the work will make you happy. Hey, I won't watching. This life be you alone. Make you to watch your steps on the road. Try to learn to be a player. And make sure the game not go play never. And don't let the paper make you deceive you. Make you to think say you be better than ever.